Last board meeting, January 15th.
So moved.
January, what? Oh, you so moved. Bill so moves.
Second.
Please.
Second.
Any questions?
I don't have I did. I don't have any questions, but I do have a comment.
Yes, please.
I am mightily impressed with the thoroughness of these minutes. I got to get on her good side, so just thought I'd say that.
Thank you, Dawn, very much. Thank you, Dawn, and I also told her the same thing, that I think she takes the best minutes that I've ever seen, and they are very thorough, and they are very kind, and she makes us all look very good. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Reports to the board, SGA, and I think Stefan and Tycee are both here this evening. Yes, please. We practice up there at the podium. And I told our SGA students that we want them to sit at the table because we want to know how we can make things better for them here at our institution. And so we would like them to come and report and to tell us what they need.
So, hi, this is Tycee. She's our vice president. And because I've got a really busy schedule and I have to step out at 8 every Wednesday night, she's going to be the ex officio member for like the rest of the year. So I'll try to make as many meetings as I can, but she should be here pretty regularly. For SGA, it's the start of the year, so we haven't gotten a lot of stuff underway yet. A lot of it was more organizational stuff. One of the big things that we're working on is the executive committee is meeting actually tomorrow to work on revising some of our constitution. So we're going to present that to the rest of the Senate on Tuesday. And so next time we see you, there will be some changes, hopefully. So, yeah. Thanks. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions?
Just a very quick one. Appreciate what you do and your being here. And I was wondering, the pictures that are located as you go into the student services area, does that contain all of the senators there?
Yeah.
All except for the 2 new ones that we just elected last week.
Okay. I just say that because that's sure a nice-looking group of folks there representing LCCC. So.
Thanks. Is there anything else?
Any other questions? Thank you very much for being here. And I also mentioned to them, if one of you can't be here, that you could choose another SGA member to come and represent you, because we really want to hear what's happening. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And if you have studies or something, you may do. Thank you. Staff Senate, Amy Elman, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you for coming.
Certainly. So I don't really have a lot. Again, my name is Amy Elman, and I just took over as staff Senate president. And so we're kind of just learning the ropes through Melissa Gallant and Kevin Yarbrough, the previous president of Staff Senate. I know we do have the Employee Appreciation Banquet coming up in May. I'll be working with Melissa Gallant, with the current vice president. And we're going to start setting up meetings to go over everything coming up with the new officers. We have also Jennifer Thompson as the secretary. And we have 7 new members, Stacy Landon and Mr. Kovo. If I said that appropriately, he's with the security team. So we're just going to be getting things started and making sure that we have spring kicked off pretty well with new events, fundraisers, anything coming up so that we can get this new officer team going.
Great. Any questions?
Yes, Madam Chair. I was wondering, are you having formal meetings and going over the policies and procedure changes that have been sent out for people to review and comment back on? There's been some extended time. Can you tell me how that's being handled within your area? Because you have both professional staff and classified staff,
Correct.
right?
So all we've done initially is we did have a meeting with the, everybody who's new on staff Senate, as everybody who was previous as well, and just had the thorough discussion on all of the policies that have changed, procedures, went through each individual one and made notes, as well as our questions on how we would like to proceed. We do have, I've spoken with Ms. Gallant, we are going to set up some meetings. We are going to look at when dates are going to become available for the staff so that we can get everybody's input and just see where everybody wants to go from there. But it is very important that we hear everyone's opinion and their thoughts and feelings on how we go forward. So yes, it is very important. We will be scheduling some meetings.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Amy.
Thank you.
Faculty Senate, Rob Van Cleve.
Thank you, Madam Chair. We have a meeting Friday, and the items that are still at the top of our agenda are the workload policy, which we have a subcommittee working on. They're going to be reporting back. We are charged, each school, with bringing back concerns and comments about the new advising model. And we're going to hopefully come up with some questions and concerns, pass those on to Judy and Student Services. There is some concern about the new model, and we just want to make sure that the students are getting the best they can from the faculty. And the job description that Jose has passed out, it was tabled at the last meeting because there are so many other more important things that have risen to the top, namely the new HR policies. And, you know, I can say this much. There was a great deal of concern and angst when they first came out. There is a great deal of misunderstanding about them as to, is this really a change? Are we losing ground? Are we gaining ground? The feeling from most faculty is we're losing. We're under the impression, as most faculty would tell you, that we have a continuing contract, that we have a property right to our job and can only be dismissed by cause. Now, I know the lawyers can pick through the policies and stuff and find that it perhaps isn't what the policies would say. I would argue that is what the college has done, and how they have treated us since I've been here. I have been here since '99, and I cannot recall a faculty member whose contract was not renewed for cause. And so by practice, it has always, and I'm talking about faculty members who have gone through their first 3 years and have made it to continuing contract status. And so I've been in discussion with Joe and asked him if we could possibly extend the comment period, because this is a big deal to the faculty. I can tell you that it is, of all the issues that have come down the pike this year, and there has been some important ones, this has caused the most concern. And so I appreciate the comment period. I appreciate Joe's offer to come to an assembly and to talk about it. And it is a lot to wade through. And so I look forward to the extra time where we can communicate with administration, where we can vet all the questions and concerns and really get down to what is the intent of the new policy. Is the intent to truly change certain things, and if so, what and why? And if they aren't intended to change, then maybe work on some wording that would relieve our concerns in those areas. And I've had preliminary discussions with Jose today too on that, and I see no reason we can't work something out if the intent is to not change much as far as faculty go. I'm sure staff is going to have a different view of that. They're obviously changing some staff job rights there, and overtly so, I think. But nonetheless, that is a huge issue, and you know, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them. But preliminarily, we are going to, at Joe's request, come up with the major issues and questions and topics. So rather than just everyone just throwing stuff out and a few people have some minor issues and maybe would dominate an assembly meeting, that we can come up with 4 or 5 major concerns and vet those out at the meeting.
Questions? I'm glad you're here, and I'm glad that we're communicating, and I'm glad that you also are in some kind of harmony with Joe as the president, and that you feel like you'll come to some kind of a resolution. Because I think we have to change some of these policies, the HR rights for our employees. I think we're at that place now that we have to do it. Would you like to say anything?
Me?
Yes, please.
No.
She says nothing.
Everyone
But
is doing fine. Yeah, the dialogue is definitely a healthy sign.
it is a very
Yes.
healthy sign. And I think that we have more time to work these things out as a college. So thank you. Anyone else? Okay, thanks, Rob. LCCEA, and that would be our beloved Jeff.
Thank you, Madam Chair and Board of Trustees. So I drew the short straw again. I found out at 5 o'clock today that I was the only one that could come and do this, and Mohammed is sick, so here I am. So I don't have a huge report for you. I can tell you that the new HR policies is probably our biggest concern right now, obviously, as well. We have been, at least I have, and I think the other officers have been really trying to encourage people to get out on Eagle's Eye and post their concerns and get questions answered. There are some people who seem to be afraid to post on Eagle's Eye, whether that's warranted or not, I don't know. I posted there and I'm still here, so that's a good sign. But so EA will probably come up with some kind of documented list of concerns and questions as well, like Faculty Senate is doing. And of course, EA represents all the different types of employees here on campus, so it will probably address all the policies and how those are changing. So I look forward to some more conversation on that, and we're just kind of getting started on that.
Mm-hmm.
So, questions?
Thank you for being here.
All right, thanks.
Mm-hmm. President's report. Dr. Schaefer?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. My report will be brief. I do have one thing there just for your information. First, thank you for taking the time to go through and help us with the ranking and scoring process for the strategic plan strategies. We have completed and compiled all of the scoring, both from the cabinet exercises as well as yours. And as part of your materials, you have a document titled Prioritizing the LCCC Strategic Plan. It summarizes some of the criteria we use, the 4 goals within your strategic plan, and then has listed in priority order by tier the strategies that we'll be tackling. Just one note, they are ranked into tiers, tier 1, 2, 3, and 4. Tier 1 being what we see as the most important or the highest priority and down. That doesn't mean that we won't work on all of them. It's just when we look at how we allocate our human efforts as well as our fiscal resources, we're going to try to put the majority of that to the top tiered activities. And so that's there for your information. We'll work on, we're still working on the final design elements of the strategic plan, and we'll work on prettying this up a little bit so it can be posted and communicated. So as people are working on budget requests and position requests, it's easy for them to get to and then to read. The second thing on my report, I'm actually going to ask Vice President Judy Hay to give the update. I know you're aware of some of this, but because of the work that went into the campus health clinic and the options for student health insurance, I thought it would be worthwhile bringing it to you as part of my report today. So Judy, if you would.
Absolutely, thank you. Madam Chair, members of the board, I distributed, I think everybody has one of these. If you don't, I've got a few more that I gave to Tycee to spread around the residence halls. But this is a quick flyer to just notify the students in campus community of these two opportunities. We're really proud that we finally have an insurance plan that our students can purchase if they wish. It is not actually through our college. We don't have to be part of the transaction, but the plan was created for our students exclusively, and it's modeled after a plan that Casper College has had in place and been very happy with. So I don't know if students are taking advantage of it, but it's wonderful just because we always have students asking if we have health insurance that we that they can purchase. So that's an offer. I don't know how much, if it'll go forward for another year. This year is kind of a key year for the national healthcare scene, as you all know, so we'll just keep our eyes on that. And then the other thing that this announces is the opening of our health clinic. We've contracted with the University of Wyoming Medical Center, I don't remember the health clinic.
Residency, family practice.
Yeah. And so Carol was there the other night, and we had an open house yesterday. They did a dry run last week, and it went well. They had pretend students there to practice and see how it worked. And so the partnership has been a really fun thing to put together as well. We have great cooperation from the Family Health Clinic. The residents are thrilled to be able to serve in that capacity and put in a few more hours. They get paid, and we're paying that through our students' wellness fee. And we have put a little bit of money into just the basic supplies, rubber gloves and a scale and some things like that, and found some space in the third floor of the health science building. So it's been a great project, and we're thrilled that we finally say we can take care of sniffles and colds and other things like that for students.
Thank you very much, and I did have something I want to say. I was there yesterday for about an hour and a half. There was a lot of energy and excitement there. I want to just say Jerry Harris has had a dream, and it's finally come to fruition after 5 years, and he is just tickled. And Jennifer Anderson is there, Terry Harper, and Dr. Mom, and the residents, and they are all pretty excited, and it's in room 324. So I think that it should just grow from here, and a lot of this will be referral. It won't be, they're not going to treat broken bones or do any of that. They have a double-sided list of referral sources in the communities, anything from psychiatry to orthopedics to cheap medicines if a student is sick. So, and it's not just for the students. I think it's also for the staff and for the children in the daycare, that they can go there when they're open. Is that not correct, Judy?
It's actually paid for through our student fee, and so it really is exclusively for students.
It's just for our students. But
Yes.
maybe in the future, we're hoping to move it over to the new Student Center building and have it possibly grow to a bigger clinic. Is that possible? Dr. Schaefer?
Madam Chair, I would certainly think that would be a possibility.
That would be my dream for us here, so that if an employee were sick and, they could get some extended hours through the clinic, and also possibly extend the service to others on the campus. So I was just thrilled that they were so excited, and I'm sorry if you didn't get to attend the open house. So thank you.
Very welcome. Thank you.
And I think the insurance policy for 1 year is supposed to be right around $1,000, so that's very affordable. That's what I was told.
Yeah. Well, and it varies whether you're insuring just yourself and what age you are. So, yeah, it matters.
But approximately, yes, please.
Madam Chair, I have a couple questions. How does a student qualify? Say you have a student that takes one course. Does that student qualify? What are the qualifications?
For the health clinic?
No,
Or for the health insurance? I think that this is kind of a kind of curious to me, because they don't check with us. We don't have an agreement to verify that they're even students. And so they do that just with the student, and I think that they would like the students to be registered for 6 credits or more, but I don't think that they really have a threshold on this plan.
It does say on the brochure.
It says 7 credits.
7? Okay, we had
Well,
discussed
if I read
that.
I probably wouldn't have asked that question.
Yeah.
So then the next question is, has there been any consideration for all students of 7 credits or more through student fees having health insurance if they do not already have health insurance through another plan?
To
Please.
require it as a condition of
I didn't understand the
enrollment?
question.
Okay, I'll restate it. Has there been any consideration of having students required to have health insurance if they have 7 credit hours or more, unless they can demonstrate that they already have health insurance?
Oh, like mandatory?
Required, mandatory, yes.
Okay.
Madam Chair, Trustee Erickson, and maybe I should let Judy respond first. Yeah, there's actually been considerable dialogue about the role of student health insurance and the approach that we take, and some of it is from being the intermediary and the provider versus what we're doing here, which is basically a brokership to a program that can serve our students, whether or not we should require demonstration, and if you are going to require health coverage, whether or not that should be an opt-in requirement or an opt-out. In other words, saying, do you just say I've got it, or do we actually want you to by default be opted into our plan unless you come and demonstrate that you have it. So I think there's been considerable conversation about that role. Ultimately, and hopefully I'm not overstepping my bounds here, ultimately I think what we wanted to do was ease into the offering of health coverage, and we took sort of the lowest level risk and the lowest level in terms of for intervention into requiring that, just to provide that opportunity, and then we'll monitor and see how we go. Is that fair, Judy?
That is fair. That's exactly the approach we took. We had conversations statewide with the other colleges, community colleges, and the University of Wyoming to see what interest there was in forming a bit of a coalition that we could get a good rate with more of us involved. And there wasn't a lot of interest in that around the state, and part of that has to do with the staffing required to do that verification, and some of the technology that we would need to invest in to make sure that we have the ability to stop people from registering if they don't have that, the insurance. But that is, what you describe is what is called a hard waiver for insurance, and right now we've just chosen to leave that up to the student, but make sure that we're offering something that they can use that's affordable.
Excellent. Trustee Mosher?
Madam Chair, do we provide flu shots, or are they inherent in this? Because I know a few years back we did provide those as a part of that, but are we still doing it? And I realize we're kind of past getting that flu shot, but next fall, looking ahead to that, is that incorporated within this, and how does that work?
Great question, and yes, we would very much like the clinic to offer them, and so we've talked about how that might work, and it will probably come down to who can get the vaccine for the best price, and then, or who can get the vaccine at all, because in various years, sometimes the clinic gets some and the public health does that. But either way, we would be able to pay for that vaccine for students out of this health fee, and then other people could pay, or we get it free from our health plan at the college. But yes, that's one of the things we would like to do too.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you. Any other questions? Trustee Kilty?
It says here that these clinic hours are 6 to 8 on Tuesday, and those are paid for out of student fees, that's right?
Mm-hmm.
That's only 2 hours a week, so, yeah, I know, it's a referral service, but unless you break your leg, somewhere between 5
Tuesday,
and...
yeah.
5 and 8, it looks like you're out of luck there. But they say you can go to the UW Family Practice Clinic. What are the hours there, do you know? Are they pretty extensive during the week?
Yes, they're a full-service clinic, and the bus goes right to them, so the transportation.
I wanted to know how some of these students are kind of place-bound, how they would get there.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the student fees don't pay for any of that. That's all on them.
Right.
But that's a sliding scale. At the residency program, that's whatever you can
Yeah.
pay, you pay, so,
Okay.
right. And I would guess they're open from like 8 to 5 or 8 to 6, and then probably they would have to go to the hospital.
Immediate care. Or immediate care, yeah.
Or urgent care, yeah, right.
So, Madam Chair,
Yes, please.
just kind of begs the question, what are we, without looking for specific numbers, but what are the students getting for the fee that they are assessing themselves, and are they happy with it?
Good question. Students, do you have any comment on that? Maybe you could restate the question.
In terms of the fee that you're assessing yourselves, what do you see in terms of cost, what you're receiving for that fee? And I think probably, Carol probably knows the amount of that fee, what it generates in revenue, and I'm just wondering how this ties into you're getting your money's worth.
Yeah, I honestly,
Please stand up.
I honestly don't know exactly how much the fee is, but I know I went to I went to see how it was
Mhm.
Tuesday night, and I felt like it was a really good start. I think that for students to get their money's worth out of it, there would need to be more students to go, and they would need to know more. There weren't a lot of students that went because not a lot of students knew about it. So to get the money's worth, they would need to be more publicity and that.
I think there doesn't Ty have, doesn't he have some information that he's putting on the distribution list here about the health clinic?
Yeah, Madam Chair, members of the board, this just opened, the dry run we went through actually used, they're not student actors, but that's what they were, to test to see how the process would work. And so it is early on in its offering, and certainly promotion and communication about the offerings, the clinic's hours, and as I understand too, utilization statistics, how many people are coming through. I mean, those will all be part of the rollout of this as we roll it out. Judy, do you have information on the specific fee?
I do. The students are assessed a $2.25 wellness fee, and it's split up in several ways. 64 cents of that goes to the PE center to help pay for staffing and to keep the PE center open for as many hours as we can, and to keep the equipment, the exercise equipment and other things updated. So that's one place that the fee goes. There's a fee that comes out of there that's specifically for intramural sports, and so that pays for the officials and the equipment and some of those kinds of things. That's 21 cents out of the 225. And then the wellness fee and health education, which is what we're talking about, that is providing the health clinic, is $1.01 of that fee, and that pays for a counselor in the counseling center, and about half of that person's time is supposed to be spent doing wellness education, so holding wellness weeks. So you'll see suicide awareness and some screenings for things like depression and things like that. You'll see a focus on eating disorders and wellness in that way. Lots of different wellness topics, and they change every year. And then there's 39 cents of that goes to ACC to help pay for the Laramie County or Albany County students' access to the recreation center up there. So the full wellness fee is assessed per credit, up to 12 credits, and all the students that pay. If you take one credit of class, you've paid $2.25.
That's what I wanted to know, whether
Oh.
it was a per credit or flat fee.
It's per credit.
Thank you for bringing that.
You're very welcome.
And the question I have is this double-sided list of referral sources available to advising or to the dorm folks, so that so that it's not just 2 hours a week, like Dr. Kilty was asking, so that if a student falls and breaks their leg at the dorm, then the person in charge there would have that double-sided list and where to send them, maybe to urgent care, or if it was during the day, maybe to one of those, to family practice or whatever.
Yes.
They'll know who to call in case someone needs meds or whatever it is.
Yes, and that will depend on whether the student, maybe they're a local person and have a local physician. We don't know. Every student's different. But a broken leg would probably not be one of those things that can be done in our little clinic in
Not at
the
all.
2 hour anyway. So,
We hope not.
but we have extensive referral lists in the counseling center and in various places around campus to make sure that we have ready lists of places if students have needs. So.
Because we want to take care of the health needs of our students. And thank you very much. You were very organized and you knew what you were talking about. Thank you.
You're very welcome.
Okay. January 24th Board Retreat Recap and Next Steps.
Madam Chair, members of the board, I mentioned this at the conclusion of your retreat on the 24th, that we'd come back to this meeting and just have an opportunity after, I think we've all were able to go home, digest the conversation, the materials presented and things like that, and I just wanted to have an opportunity to allow you some dialogue to recap the retreat, and if there's any specific recommendations, guidance, or things that you thought might help me in terms of taking the next steps, we just wanted to have that opportunity here.
Okay. Discussion? Questions? I want to say that it was an amazing day. And about 4 o'clock, I told Joe I thought the air went out of the room. We were all so tired. And we had really filled our brains up. And so I have heard that it was the best retreat that people could remember going to. And that has a lot to do with our president. So thank you very much. Most of us took a nap the next day. Any questions?
Madam Chair,
Yeah.
one thing that Trustee Kilty brought up, and I think it would really be something that's helpful for all of us, not just the trustees, but he pointed out quite clearly we needed to do a little study time and review the district board, their general duties, what the duties of the LCCC board or any community college board in the state are. And I really think if I know you can go out and pull this off of places on state site, but I would like to see this document made a little more readily available to, and especially to the different groups, that maybe we get a written copy to FAC Senate, faculty and staff Senate, and to the different groups. I think it should be more widely available, and I would hope those folks, including our students, would avail themselves of this document and take a look at it, because I think a lot of times the board and what our duties are and what we do, I myself at different times, not sure. And I think it's a good idea if we'd all kind of take a look at that and keep it in mind as we move forward.
I think that's an excellent idea, and how can we do that? President Joe Shipley?
Madam Chair, Trustee Mosier, I was just going to look to, I know that when Trustee Little helped us put together your governance policies and procedures, we referenced the appropriate statute. I don't know if we ever made those live links in the current policies and procedures. We may have, and if not, we probably could. And that way, it's basically a two-step process through the board's governing documents, essentially, to get there. So I think that's one way that we can do that. And maybe we can take a look at all of those that reference Wyoming state statute and just do link to the appropriate sections. Vicky's nodding her head, so I think that might be a good solution. And certainly, if the Senates would like, copies of that, we can certainly distribute it to them, and they can disseminate it to their membership as they'd like.
Well, and thank you very much. Vicki pulled that for us and included it in the packet for our retreat, which, thank you very much, Vicki. And I think that we are going to include it in our packet for new board members when the time comes. So we're really working on doing a better orientation at the request of Trustee Erickson. And I think it's a great idea, because I think we've fallen down in that a little bit, but I think it's a process of just getting better and better at those kind of things. Any more comments?
Madam Chair?
Yes,
would you
please.
like me to go ahead and email that document to the faculty senate and the staff senate?
That would be wonderful. Thank you very much, Vicki. And anyone else who has a request, they could, on the campus, they can make the request, and Vicki will send it on to them as well.
And to the LCCC.
Perfect. Okay, thank you. That was pretty short.
That's great.
That was great. Board reports, board committee reports. Building Forward Committee, any report? Bill Du Bois, Don Erickson, and Christine Lummis?
No. We're looking to our leader.
I'm looking to our fine representatives under the Gold Dome in the state's capital, so
That's right.
we'll know more probably starting next week would be my guess.
And if there's anything that you need us to do as a board, please let us know.
I will do. You've all been very supportive in engaging other folks, our legislative delegation, and I think it's that community voice that really means a lot in regards to our facilities campaigns and the hard work that the legislature has to do in allocating the precious dollars to a lot of competing projects.
Yes, and I'll say it again, I was very pleased with the people that I emailed to ask them to support us. I heard from 3 out of 4 of those legislators, which
I heard
I thought
back
was
from all of
wonderful.
them.
You did. Great, they know you, Bill.
Well,
So did
we
I.
too. It's not that, but I had nice letters from all of them.
All of them were former students of his.
Only one.
Can you retroactively pull their grades?
It's a concern.
Only one. You know, Madam Chair, if I may just say,
Of course.
it was nice. You know, for 16 years, I worked down there and wasn't allowed to, just for lack of a better way of saying it, lobby anybody. So this was the first time I ever sent out letters, and I was so pleased that when they get 400 and 500 emails a day, that they took the time to personally respond. I was very thankful. I thought that was nice.
And I think that they respect you. But most of them don't really know me, and they still responded, so that I felt really pleased about them taking the time. We elect them, and they respond to us. So, thank you for that, Bill.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I had a note here, and I missed my note on timeliness, and that was back with the previous agenda item where Joe asked us to talk, if we wanted to, a little bit about what went on in Laramie. To
I think
recap
you're too late,
Is it too cold?
It is too cold.
Well,
Back up,
I'll make
please.
it short. I don't want to go into detail here, but I do think it's important that folks who are here, we're not necessarily able to be in Laramie for the meeting there, and I wanted to comment that our folks who put together and worked on the new University of Wyoming Studies program, worked on our part and the transfer programs and the samples, and working with the folks that are heading up that University Studies program. They talked very positively about the folks in the academic area, not just because it's my old division, but in the business area, but across the board, in talking about the folks and working with Jose and putting together programs that will map out and transfer, and not that they haven't in the past, but that will be a much cleaner, more precise program. And I was just, having been involved with UW for a long time, before we had what I would say was very collegial relations with them, it is absolutely wonderful to know that our students are not caught up in some politics and that their needs are coming first. And I really felt like the coordination between UW, and I'm sure it's true with the other community colleges, I hope so, but it was just wonderful to hear the president and I believe he was the associate dean of the College of Engineering, talk very positively about our trustee, who happens Kilty. He seems to have an acquaintance with him, but in talking about the programs and working together to try to make sure the students really do have a seamless process for them, I was just very pleased with that. So I want to just compliment the folks that have been involved in that, not only the faculty, but the administration who's been working on that. And I just hope that keeps rolling along the way it is, because that's a really positive approach.
Thank you, Ed.
It's cold, but I tried to keep it short.
You did a great job. Thank you. Well, we're moving into our approval items. Number 1, Academic Appeals Policy 2.16. This is the second reading, and we've had a chance to study these policies and to ask questions at the first reading. If you have any second reading questions or comments, please make them now.
You're talking about policy 2.16 alone?
Yes, just, we'll take them one at a time since we got so messed up last time.
It was all Dawn's fault last time.
I know, it's all done.
Anybody else?
If there are no questions from the board or from the public, I think we'll go ahead and I would ask that someone make a motion that we accept Academic Appeals Policy 2.16.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? That was Ed.
Kevin.
No discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And that would be unanimous, Vicki? Okay, we'll move to B, Degrees and Certificate Policy 2.1.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
These are probably questions for Jose, but first of all, the AAS degree, and it stated in its definition that that was a degree with a very large component of work skills training in it. But we have a couple of degrees, and it's never been made clear to me which ones specifically on this campus are aimed toward a Bachelor of Applied Science program. And I swear, at one time, we had at least a couple on the campus that were oriented that way. Can anyone answer that question again?
Madam Chair, Dr. Kilty, I don't know that I can answer that from a historical context, nor do I know that I could say that any specific AAS degree right now is geared or designed specifically for transfer to the BAS. Jose, do you?
Well, that goes per institution. As of right now, we don't have a specific articulation of those degrees aside of nursing. But different institutions are starting to accept direct transfers to BAS and from BAS to graduate programs. So the landscape is changing a little bit on the transferability of...
Please stand up and maybe go to the podium, Jose. Thank you. Some people cannot hear you.
Apologize.
No problem.
Direct transfer on AAAs have not been historically, smooth transitions because they were, in my opinion, mislabeled as terminal degrees. But today, with the development of the BAS, many of institutions offering BAS are taking direct transfers from AAS to BAS. I think right now the only degree that we have a transfer is to the BSN, which I guess doesn't answer your question directly, but that's the only transfer we have from AAS to BSN.
So I was just wondering if that means that we should alter that definition a little bit and just identify that possibility.
Madam Chair, Dr. Kilty, that's certainly something to consider. That there will be those opportunities. I mean, if it's your policy, if that's your preference, we can do that. The reason that it's not included in there may be more of a pragmatic reason in that the one true option that we tried to develop here in Wyoming, it sounds like, was the articulation with the university's Bachelor of Applied Science degree. I don't know that that's ever really worked very well. Part of the reason we limited the definition and what's proposed for you today was to really provide a clear delineation for the faculty here on the primary purpose of a degree, recognizing that there is always the transfer option to do that, but wanting to make sure that people understood that when we develop a program that's an applied degree in AAS, well, the concept of a terminal degree may be going away if it's not gone already, was really to focus the intent that that degree is intended for occupational entry. But that's why it's not in there. And, if the educational environment in Wyoming were more conducive to those opportunities, and if we had good, strong baccalaureate of applied science programs, that may change the perspective, but it hasn't thus far.
On the degrees that I know of transferring are not generic BAS, are actually BAS in business or BAS in fire science that are mirror traditional degrees, but change the approach from theory to application. And I think articulations could be developed, but it probably will have to be program by program, not to a generic BAS. I'm not sure if the University of Wyoming offer a specific BAS on specialized areas. I know other universities outside of the states do.
Madam Chair, Dr. Hilty, just one other piece. In the procedure that accompanies this policy, within the definition and the descriptions about the AAS degrees, we do reference that at times they will be used for transfer to a Baccalaureate of Applied Science or a BAS degree as well. So it is in the procedure loosely.
Question. We get down to the definition of a program, and it says ordered sequence right away. And Joe and I had an interesting conversation about this the other night. One of the advantages that we have here at LCCC is, for example, in engineering. The University of Wyoming is under ABET as their accrediting agency. And under ABET, you have to take classes of all kinds, not just engineering classes, but all other classes too, in a particular sequence. We're not under that. And that gives us a great deal of flexibility here. We have a mostly ordered sequence. And so I just wonder if saying ordered sequence, or maybe fudge a little bit and say mostly ordered sequence. And just, that's because that's our advantage, really.
Madam Chair, Trustee Kilty, I don't think there's any major issue with that. And really, when we talk about an ordered sequence here, it's ordered at the direction of the college, at the direction of LCCC, not necessarily always at the direction of an external agency, if need not be. But the concept is that we've created some type of structure that would help a student move through an ordered pathway of educational activities that would lead to that, but mostly ordered, loosely structured. I mean, I think, but it could just be that it's the ordered sequence is defined by LCCC, not defined by external groups for the most part.
But nonetheless, in some instances, we make exceptions from person to person about the ordering of some of these classes. And, you know, there are some of them that I disagree with ABET about the ordering of classes, and I just think that there needs to be some latitude in there, not even necessarily prescribed by LCCC. I don't know.
No, I think it's a valid point, but part of the intention of this is actually to try to structure some of the Gen Ed courses to make sure that the students in some of our programs actually complete some of their Gen Ed requirements. I wouldn't call it a complete order sequence, but in a constant way to make sure that at the end they are not missing the one Gen Ed course for graduation. I agree on the mostly sequent. I mean, it will bring some, it will still keep the structure. So I have no problem. Do you?
Yeah, or I don't know if the word structured sequence makes it less orderly for you.
I just don't want it to seem like they have to follow a particular order, because having that flexibility has always been an advantage for us. And it actually serves some students really well.
Actually, now that I think more about it, there are some programs, the professional programs, nursing, dental hygiene, radiology, they must follow a particular prescribed sequence for accreditation, so they will be, you know, they cannot just alter. And in fact, that reminded me, because we had a discussion about today on moving a course, and I had an initial difficulty understanding why it was such a big issue, but it's an accreditation issue with the professional programs. On the traditional programs, I don't see that as a big deal.
So I guess my question would be, would we like to table this policy and have more discussion and perhaps change some of the language? Or would you like to go ahead and pass it as it stands?
I'll make a motion that we approve the degrees and certificate policy 2.1.
That would be Don.
I'll second it.
Dr. Kilty makes a second. Any more discussion?
May I ask a couple questions?
Of
Carol?
course.
Jose, can you, I don't understand credit certificate and credit diploma. Can you give me an example of what that is?
Madam Chair, Trustee Little, I can probably do this. I'm saving Dr. Fierro a little bit because he's have to inherit some of my work in this, and so I don't want to put him on the spot.
Oh, okay.
But I'm happy to do that. These definitions, for the most part, are actually definitions that are in the Wyoming Community College Commission's rules. It's actually, I think, rule number 1. And the two between the credit certificate and credit diploma, it was their way to try to, and we have it here, try to differentiate what I would think of as more of a substantial credit versus a short-term credit certificate. So for the working definitions that we have, a credit certificate is between 30 and 45 credits, typically takes 1 year to complete, can include a summer semester within that year, has general education either contextualized within the applied coursework or as separate coursework. A credit diploma is less than that, so this would be your short-term, 1 semester credit programs. The process technology one that we started this year is a good example. It's 1 semester, 17 credits. I think, does not incorporate a body of general education. It's really applied coursework that's intended to move that person into occupational entry. And so that's really the difference between the two.
Does that answer your question, Brandon?
Almost. I'll think about it a little bit. Maybe I'll understand. I understand what you're saying, that if somebody comes in here and wants to take just, I don't want to take English and math and history. I just want to take, like, what was the example you
Process
used?
technology.
Right. Computer classes, right, or something like that, process technology. So if it's a certain amount of hours, then I get a credit diploma. Another set of hours beyond that is a credit certificate?
Yeah.
Something like that?
Yes, Madam Chair, Trustee Little, it's the structure of the content as well as the breadth, if you will, or the depth of the content as well. So the credit diplomas are essentially intended for those people who want to come in, get skills, enroll in credit-bearing courses, though, gain a short-term certificate that puts them to work. And so it's always applied. Whereas when we get into the credit certificate, those are oftentimes extended engagements, 1 year. They oftentimes will matriculate into an associate degree program. They're broader. They're intended to have some preparation of general education outcomes within it. So it's a next level of a certificate that includes those things.
So I think I understand where my confusion is, because when you said, because when you described credit diploma, you said it's a certificate. So that's where my confusion comes in. I don't understand if it's certificate, why it's called a diploma, but that's just what it's called. So there you have it.
And Madam Chair, Trustee Little, I share that. The U.S. Department of Education oftentimes calls these certificates of completion. The Wyoming Community College Commission calls them credit diplomas.
Yeah.
We've, I think, just kind of mixed them and always called them just certificates without any delineation. What we're trying to do with this policy, though, is really help faculty and staff and the institution understand, if I'm going to create a program that does this, these are the parameters. If I'm going to create a program that does this, these are the parameters. But when we get into the whole realm of certificates, I think there's incredible variability depending on which agency or organization you're talking to in terms of the vernacular that they're using.
Yeah, that helps me. That answers my question. It's a
semantic problem.
It's semantics. Yes. So now I understand where I got it from. Thank you.
Okay, and I think we're at the point that we will take a vote. All those in favor for degrees and certificate policy 2.1, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? That passes. Thank you, Jose. Appreciate it. We'll move on to C, policy development and approval procedure 1.2. 11 revisions, highlighted Dr. Schaefer. Thank you.
Yep, Madam Chair and members of the board, this is your second reading. It was presented to you before. Happy to answer any questions. Would it be helpful for me to recap the changes in this?
Perfect.
That would be helpful.
Please.
As we mentioned last time this came forward, the change to this procedure, and this is a procedure, one of the few that you actually have to approve. It's a board procedure. It pertains and is connected to your policy on how we develop policies and procedures. What we've added in here is a section H called temporary executive order. Especially as we've found that as we're going through and trying to do overhaul of, complex and numerous policies and procedures on campus, like the HR policies and procedures, we oftentimes run into things that are out of compliance with certain structures that are contrary to what we're saying and what we're doing in the direction. But because their policies may be connected to other ones that are going to take longer for vetting to move forward, this just simply allows me basically 120 days to say, I know the policy says this, but this is what we're doing and what we need to do, and then within that 120 days have to route it through the approval process. We just had one come up last week, that changes in state benefits plans may have rendered one of our policies and procedures out of compliance. And so we're going to have to make a statement about that and do that, and then work it through the process to update that as well. So that's what this clause essentially does, so that people can understand if we're doing something contrary to what may be in an old policy or procedure.
Thank you. Are there any questions or comments from the public? If not,
So move approval.
for policy development and approval of procedure 1.2.11, a second, please.
Second.
You two are on a roll. Any more questions? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. And we might get out of here by no, it's after 8 o'clock. Well, we're almost there. Okay.
We'll see what we can do to stop.
No. We're doing great. It's a very cold night. Okay, additional items, some of these, next meetings, February 19th. Is there any new business?
Madam Chair?
Yes.
Please mention the February 21 lunch with the commissioners that is in the
Thank you. You
process of
gave me a
being
note, didn't you? And I think that that's been decided that it'll be Friday, February 21st at noon in CCI, room 129. I hope you can be there
What is this?
It's a meeting of what?
with the trustees and the commissioners.
It's a lunch.
It's a luncheon on it's a Friday. And that's a very busy week
What time?
at noon.
And I will send out confirmations.
But Bill is very, if we want to know when things are and you're not available, he knows.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
just for Bill's clarity on this, this has typically been the meeting, and you've been to them before.
Evening.
Yeah, in the evening, but it's our opportunity to visit with the commissioners.
Very good.
And so that's the particular time. And I would just dovetail on this to remind people that if you can possibly do it, the February 20th is the state trustees meeting, and that will be at Little America. It's
Jennifer
also-
has sent out RSVPs
Yes.
and everything for that, so.
So hopefully, not only people here on the board, but others in the college will be able to attend that as appropriate, and we look forward to seeing you there.
Thank you for the reminder. I don't think you can be reminded too many times. And if anyone tonight knows that they can come on that Friday, please let Vicki know.
Thank you. Thanks.
Bill
And
will be there.
The activities on the 20th are at Little America, not at LCCC?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. I had that one.
Okay.
The side meetings will occur
Oh, thank,
after the subcommittee meetings, but not before, like the CIOs and
oh,
the Academic Affairs Council and Student Affairs Committee.
Okay.
thank you.
Thank you for the reminder.
Just
Yeah.
in terms of the agenda, though, that we have, when you say side meetings, those are, as you indicated, for finance officers and things like that, but not for the agenda item that you would have received. Those are all at Little America,
Okay.
to my knowledge.
And if we want to attend, I think we let Jennifer know, because she's our planning person. Now, thank you. Any other new business? Public comments? Anyone in the room like to say a little bit of something?
What do you think about that? Can I say something, or should I?
By all means. Or would you rather I do it, or?
Well, I'll just tell the little bit that I know.
Sure.
On the subject is?
The subject is a gift.
A gift. Perfect, thank you.
Is that all right?
Sure.
Madam Chair?
It was a surprise, but I like it.
During World War II, which some of us remember and lived through, we had a German and Italian prisoner of war camp here in Cheyenne. And it was a loosey-goosey thing, just like it was all over America. And one of the men who came here from Germany became close friends with a man and his mother who ran the farm program through the base. And when he went back to Germany, he married and then was in East Germany, and they escaped from East Germany, which obviously was under the Soviets. And he asked this man and his mother if they'd sponsor him to come to the U.S., which they did. And they came here and did well, had in the time bought real estate and so on. And, well, anyway, she worked part-time out here at the college, at the library with Sandra Donovan. I'm sure some of you at least know Sandra Donovan. She's a retired librarian here. Well, Sandy and her husband Bob kept in touch with them. They had lunch with them in Fort Lauderdale where this couple moved. And shortly, right after the husband died, she called and said she was leaving money here, and she left $500,000 to the college.
Wow.
It should be coming this week.
Thank you, Bill.
Yeah, Madam Chair, Trustee Du Bois, we were tickled there. Sometimes you get those gifts, and we've had 2 announcements of gifts. This one has actually been realized or will be realized this week that sort of catch us off guard, either in magnitude or just awareness of them coming. This gift is $500,000. $250,000 of that is specifically requested to go to the library. It is actually, I guess, my recommendation, and it's with the foundation now, but my recommendation that the entire $500,000 be set aside for the future and pending renovation of the library into the Learning Commons. And so it's a timely gift with strategies and the work that we're doing now, and was really one of those nice things to come through fruition. And I believe you're right, we will receive that gift this week. It's going to be wired when they settle the estate.
Wow. Thank you, Bill. It really renews my faith in mankind that someone would love this college or any college so much that they would leave a large gift. Thank you. That's a good story. You're a good storyteller, too.
Well, it helps understand who they were.
Yes, it does. Yeah. Okay, if there be no public comment, may I have a motion for adjournment, please?
So move.
Second.
Yeah, this is your chance to say whatever you need to say.
Just say aye.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. I learned well, quickly.
An hour and 5 minutes, start to finish.
Yay! It's a new record, Vicki.
Pretty impressive.